Hey everyone, I'm DC10 and in this video I'll be reviewing and showcasing the Adventures in Time mod for Minecraft 1.20.1. So I've been keeping an eye on this mod for some time now. There's been various betas that have released over the last year or so, but it's finally just released its full version, which is what we're going to be taking a look at today. This video can also serve as a little bit of a tutorial for the core features of the mod, but if you'd like to learn more, I'd highly recommend checking out the official Adventures in Time wiki. It's incredibly in-depth and has a lot of helpful information to get you started with this mod. And of course, as with all my reviews, there is a link to download this mod in the description. I've also put the link for Fabric API and OWOLib, which are two other mods you need to be able to run Adventures in Time. Anyway, if you end up enjoying this video, then please consider subscribing, as it would help me out a ton, and we're actually on the way to 4,000 subscribers. But with that out of the way, let's get started. So as you can see from this creative inventory, the mod actually has a lot of features, and we're going to be taking a look at the main feature of this mod to begin with, which is of course the TARDIS. So in order to obtain a TARDIS, you actually need to grow it. However, the growing process is quite different to a lot of other Doctor Who mods. So what you need to do is find a rift chunk, and in order to find a rift chunk, you need one of these, a rift scanner. So as with pretty much everything in this mod, this is craftable. So as you can see, you need a block of redstone, 2 nether quartz, 2 iron ingots, an amethyst shard, and a diamond. Right, so once you've got your hands on one of these rift scanners, you need to simply follow it to a rift chunk. However, very importantly, you need to right click it first, because otherwise it will just point right the way to 0, 0, and it will do nothing. Believe me, I've made that mistake myself a few times before. So yeah, make sure you right click it and then follow it, and I seem to have got incredibly lucky here and found a rift chunk right where I was. So something I'd recommend doing here is pressing F3 and G to show your chunk borders. So that'll just confirm that you're in the right chunk and you're not on sort of any chunk boundaries or anything. So now all you need to do is grab yourself a block of soul sand and then of course the TARDIS coral itself, which is once again craftable. For this you need 2 blaze rods plus 2 eyes of ender and 2 end crystals, which require an eye of ender plus a ghast tear each. So a total of 4 blaze rods, 2 blocks of redstone, and then a dead brain coral, which I think is a really nice touch. I like the little coral here. Anyway, so then you need to place your soul sand down. It needs to be exposed to direct sunlight, so in other words, just on the surface with no blocks above it, inside this rift chunk, and then simply place your TARDIS coral on top of it like this. And now all you need to do is wait for it to grow. So it does actually go quite quickly. It can take anywhere from 3 to 12 minutes. However, you can speed this up very easily by doing game rule, random tick speed, and then just set it as a really high number, and it will grow really quickly into your TARDIS. I don't quite know what happened there. I seem to lag out because of the really high tick speed, but I think that's more an issue with my computer than the mod. Anyway, if you've been paying attention, then you've already got a sneak peek at this feature, but one of my absolute favourite features of this mod is its bigger on the inside effect. So this utilises the immersive portals mod, so I'd highly recommend downloading that alongside Adventures in Time and all the other mods you need for it to run. And this just creates an absolutely beautiful bigger on the inside effect. However, if I place a few blocks here, as you can see, it is absolutely seamless. I'm not making any cuts here, literally just me walking back and forth. It is truly that seamless. And the other amazing thing is, because it's using the Immersive Portals mod, you can actually interact with the other side by looking through the TARDIS. So look, I can break this moss carpet, I can break this button, I can place a block inside the TARDIS while I'm still in the overworld, which is just amazing. So anyway, we'll head inside, and as you can see, we are in this rather beautiful cave interior. You may not be able to see too much of this because of YouTube compression, so I'll try and light it up a bit. Okay, I've just realised why my game lagged out. It's all these vines. Because the door opens as soon as you grow the TARDIS. Yeah, I'd be very careful with that. But yeah, I just thought I'd point out quite how beautiful this cave interior is. It's got a lovely little cherry blossom tree at the bottom, and it actually also has some barrier blocks, which means you can see through to the TARDIS void, which has this sort of really cool end dimension effect, and it just looks really nice. I'm sorry, the builder in me just had to comment on this interior. But anyway, back to the more technical stuff. The next step for actually being able to use this TARDIS is to acquire acquire a nether star, because as you can see, this interior has absolutely no controls. It just has this sort of console statue. So obviously a nether star requires you to beat the Wither, which I think is a really nice bit of balancing. You don't need to go to the end to craft the actual TARDIS coral, but you do need to beat the Wither, which is arguably equally as difficult as the Ender Dragon in order to actually acquire the ability to use the TARDIS. Anyway, once you've got this nether star, you simply have to throw it into any body of water, and once you do that, it will give you this beautiful red glow and say interior reconfiguration started, please leave the interior, accompanied by a really nice cloister bell sound effect. And once you leave, as you can see, the door will close behind you. You'll get this really nice sort of ambient sound playing in the background, which I'll try and turn up in the edit. And then after a while, the TARDIS will dematerialize and then rematerialize in the same place it was. As you can see, it's dematerialized, and in just a second, as you can see, the TARDIS will begin to rematerialize, and it now has this really cool TT capsule exterior. So once we now right click and head into the TARDIS, we've been allocated, I believe, a random interior, and this time we have got the absolutely incredible Victorian interior, aka the 8th Doctor's. I've also just noticed my inventory has been absolutely filled with all of the blocks from the cave TARDIS, which I assume is a bug and will be patched out at a later date. As I mentioned at the start of the video, even though this is a full release, there are still lots of bugs which the team are working really hard on to try and fix. So you will still find the occasional bug, but nothing too game-breaking. Just before we move on, I'd like to briefly mention something I'm doing in real life that is really important to me. I've recently been offered the incredible opportunity by my school to go on a 1-month expedition to Costa Rica next summer. I'd like to emphasize that this is not a school trip. I'll be working alongside rural communities, completing projects such as building schools and wells, and taking part in environmental conservation projects too, including working towards the UN Sustainable Development Goals. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make a real difference to the planet, which I'm incredibly thankful for. However, this expedition in total costs around £5,000, aka $6,300, meaning I'll be fundraising in order to pay for it. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff in real life over the next year or so to raise the money, but I thought I'd also reach out to you guys, my incredible community. Please don't feel at all pressured to donate. I'd absolutely never ask for any sort of money if it wasn't going towards a good cause, but of course the UK is currently in a cost of living crisis, so I totally understand that money can be hard to come by. That being said, if everyone watching gave just £2, then I'd absolutely smash my goal. Unfortunately, GoFundMe doesn't let you donate any less than £5, so I've enabled Super Thanks on this video, which allows you to donate anywhere from £2 upwards. Any money donated through Super Thanks will go towards the Costa Rica expedition and would be massively appreciated. There is a link to the GoFundMe page in the description, as well as in my Discord server, and if you have any further questions about this, then feel free to ask there too. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and let's get back to the video. Anyway, we're now inside the TARDIS, and of course the first thing you'll probably want to know how to do is use the console. However, before we have a look at the console, I'm actually going to take a quick detour to have a look at the sonic system in this mod, because it is very relevant to your ability to use the console. So there are various types of sonic screwdriver in this mod. There's 3 in total. You've got the 12th Doctors, the 14th Doctors, and then the coral one, aka the 9th and 10th Doctors, and I'll get them out so you can have a proper look while they're in my hand. There's the 12th Doctors, there's the 14th Doctors, and then there's the coral one as well. So these are craftable, however the way it works is you actually craft the 14th Doctor. So these are craftable, however the way it works is you actually craft the 12th Doctor's one right here, using an Eye of Ender, 4 iron ingots, a redstone comparator and a blaze rod, and then this enables you to craft the rest of the sonics. As you can see, if you put your 12th Doctor's sonic into the crafting bench, it will give you a coral sonic, the 9th and 10th one, and then if you put that coral sonic in again, it will give you the Renaissance one, aka the 14th Doctor's sonic. I think this is quite a clever system. It means you don't have to craft each one individually, they can have one crafting recipe that applies to all of them. One thing I'd like to see in the future though is your ability to cycle back. So if you've got your Renaissance screwdriver and you decide, actually I want a 12th Doctor's one, the ability to sort of go back to that one would be pretty cool so that you don't have to craft a whole nother one. So the sonic screwdriver has a lot of functions. Obviously you've got the normal ones, it can ignite TNT, it can open and close iron doors and trapdoors and all of that good Minecrafty stuff that you'd expect a sonic to be able to do. However, if we go into our inventory and hold shift, as you can see it's got a mode. So our current mode is inactive. this basically means it's powered off and you can't really use it for anything. So if we shift right click, you can see you get a really cool sound. The actual texture changes, so we've now got this super cool green version of the 12th Doctor Sonic, which is actually seen in the show. And if we now hold shift, you can see we're in interaction mode. So in interaction mode, as you can expect, it can do all the normal stuff I just mentioned. Open and close iron doors. It can actually ignite candles, as well as campfires and unlit torches. But as risky as this seems, I'm going to right click this TNT, and as you can see, it won't actually do anything. And that's because you can't ignite TNT in this mode. Instead, you have to change mode once again by shift right clicking, and this time you get this amazing red color. And as you can see, we're now in overload mode. So this does allow you to ignite TNT, which I'm going to demonstrate outside so that I don't ruin this beautiful interior. As you can see, if we now right click the TNT, it will ignite, which is really, really cool. The Sonic also has another really cool feature while in overload mode, and that's that if the TARDIS is in an unstable state, which mainly happens after you crash the TARDIS, which hopefully, if I actually know how to use this mod, we won't see in this video, although let's be honest, the chances aren't good, then if you Sonic the air inside the TARDIS, it will repair it a lot quicker, which I think is really, really cool. In fact, the whole mode system of this Sonic is incredibly cool. This is a much more in-depth Sonic than I've seen in a lot of other Doctor Who mods, actually. But we're not done there. If you shift right click again, we now get this amazing animated texture, which is that super cool sort of blue dancing effect that you get on the 12th Doctor Sonic. And as you can see, we're now in scanning mode. So the main feature of this mode, in my opinion at least, is the ability to see the controls on the actual TARDIS console, which is why I showed you all this Sonic stuff before showing you the console. So if you hover over all of the controls, you get these really nice little pop-ups, which I think actually look really, really good. They've got a nice little outline and everything, and it basically shows you what all of the controls do. There's just one more mode to look at with this Sonic, and that is the TARDIS mode. So if we press it once again, we just get a normal, nice blue light, and as you can see, the mode now says TARDIS. So this mode has some really, really cool features. However, in order to see them, we need to actually bind this Sonic to the TARDIS. So I believe all we have to do in order to do this is navigate over to the telepathic circuit on the console, which you can do using the Sonic scanning feature. And then all you have to do is just shift right click these telepathic circuits. You get a nice little noise. And I believe this is now bound to this TARDIS. However, it doesn't actually show you in the menu, so I'm not 100% sure. Editing DT here. I'm a bit ill while editing this, so apologies for the voice. But I couldn't actually get this to work while I was recording this clip. The other way I found, which is a lot more consistent, is to just put the Sonic inside the Sonic port, which I don't actually think there is one on this console, but you can find them on pretty much every other console. So that is a much easier way to actually bind your Sonic to the TARDIS. So this TARDIS mode has two features, and that is to set the destination of the TARDIS to literally wherever you right click, which is really, really cool. And then it also acts as a bit of a Statenheim remote in the sense that it can summon the TARDIS to your location of choice. However, unfortunately, I couldn't really get these features to work. It may be a bug, or it may not be fully implemented yet, because obviously this is still just the very first version. So that is pretty much everything to do with the Sonic Screwdriver. However, hold on to it, because we're going to need its scanning function to now take a look at the actual TARDIS console itself. So you'll notice that this console is actually the default version, even though we're in the 8th Doctor's TARDIS. However, you can actually place a new console yourself. To do that, you need one of these, a console generator. And this is, of course, craftable, as you can see right here. You need an end crystal, 2 redstone comparators, a glass block, and an iron ingot. So once you get one of these console generators, by the way, you may have seen the actual console block right here. However, that's just for creative mode. That's not actually craftable. As I was saying, once you get one of these console generators, you just place it down on the ground and you get this really, really cool hologram effect of whatever console you'd like to change it to. So you can right click to cycle through the different ones. So we've got the Coral version right here. We've got the Toyota version, aka the 12th Doctor's. We've got a really, really nice custom one. We've got another really nice custom one, and then we're back to the original. However, all of these also have different variants. So if we shift right click, as you can see, it may be a little bit subtle on some of them, but the variant actually changes. So this is the default version, and then as you can see, we've got a bit more of a green version. We've got a really nice custom one right here, another really nice custom one, and then we're back to the original version. And likewise with this Coral one, one, you can change it into a white version, which is of course the War Doctors, and then a blue version, which is also sometimes seen in the show. With the Toyota version, as you might expect, you can also change it into the Matt Smith 11th Doctor's version, and you can't really see it on the hologram, but that basically just makes it blue instead of orange. And then there's also a super nice custom version right here, and then you've got this really nice custom which doesn't have any other variants, and then this final custom which actually does have one variant, a sort of inverted colors version, which I think is really, really nice. So once you've decided on a console that you like, all you need to do is grab your sonic screwdriver and right click, and as you can see, it will paste it into your world. And I've just realized this one is more of a grey than a blue, but I do believe it's still meant to be the Matt Smith version. So I would just like to take a second to look at the models for these consoles, because they are absolutely incredible. They might be the best out of any Doctor Who mod I've ever seen. Certainly up there with TARDIS Refined, which is another mod which I believe has some incredible console models. They are so unbelievably detailed, and everything is really nice in 3D, which I absolutely love. This throttle is really, really nice. It's got some proper depth and everything. But yeah, if it wasn't already obvious, the console places in the exact position you place your console generator, so make sure you're happy with it, because in survival mode you can't actually break these consoles. So you may be wondering how you actually replace the console you've already got, and to do that we need to navigate over to the monitor. So it's this one right here. However, if you're struggling to find it, you can of course use the Sonic, and this mod has an incredible monitor GUI. So this is your current location right here, this is your destination, this is your current TARDIS exterior, and this is also where you can change the exterior, which we'll get to in just a minute. And then if you go to settings, as you can see, you've got security, which has some various different functionalities for your TARDIS, and then you've also got cache console, and if you click this button, it converts it into a console generator, and you can just choose a new console like this. And there you go, it just puts a new one right in its place. I adore this custom one, especially this little piano. It looks so, so cool. Actually, we may as well cover the rest of the monitor while we're here. So as I just mentioned, this is the exterior selection. Now, it may not be immediately obvious. I have to admit, I didn't realize this the first time I had a look at this monitor GUI, but these things in the corners are actually buttons. So these two buttons at the bottom cycle through the actual physical exteriors. So you've got a police box, as you might expect. You've got a K2 booth, you've got a Renegade, which I believe is like the Rannies. You've got the Tardim, which I really, really love. You've got the Moai I believe it's called, which is really nice. And then you've got a Plinth, like the Masters one, Classic, which is your classic police boxes, and then back to Capsule. And then these two buttons at the top cycle the variants. So as you can see, this says 1 out of 3, and that means that this Capsule exterior has 3 different variants. As you can see, we've got a really nice black one, and then a really nice sort of silver one, which I believe is the closest to a TT Capsule. And then if we scroll along to the police box, this is the 13th Doctor's. However, we've also got a really nice custom white one right here, another nice custom Blackstone one. This is more the 11th Doctor's, 12th Doctor's, that is the 9th and 10th Doctor's, and then another really nice custom. In fact, pretty much all of these have variants. As you can see, there's loads of different booths, there's even 2 versions of the Rannies. I believe this one is probably slightly more accurate to the Rannies colour scheme. There's loads of different versions of the Tardim, of course featuring the classic blue Tardim, and then you've also got a few different classic boxes, so I don't think there's a box for each Doctor per se, so I think there's just a few different generic ones. So this is a really nice classic, you've got a custom one right here, you've got another slightly different colour schemed classic one right here, another slightly darker one, which I guess is probably close to the 2nd Doctor's actually, and then you've also got a really nice red version. And then if we go back to settings, a similar thing applies here. So as you can see, you can change the hum of the interior by pressing these 2 buttons, and you've got 3 different hums: Toyota, which is the default, Coral, and then 8th Doctor. I'm going to select the 8th Doctor's one, considering that's the TARDIS we're in, and you've just got to press this square to select it, and it's a subtle change, but you may now be able to hear, if I turn my sounds up, you can now hear a slightly different TARDIS hum, which I just think is a beautiful bit of sound design. It's some really nice ambience, and it really makes the TARDIS feel a lot more alive. And then finally, we've of course got the way to change your interior, and that's this right here. So this is the Victorian interior, the one we're in now, and then you can use these buttons to cycle through. We've got a vintage, a custom interior, a developer one, which is a bit like a sort of template one if you want to build your own, a Tokamak, which is the 14th and 15th Doctor's interior, Toyota, 12th Doctor's, Crystalline, 13th Doctor's, Regal, another custom, Coral, 9th and 10th Doctor's, War, Office, another custom, Botanist, right here, another custom, Default Cave, which appears to not have a picture, but that's the one we spawned in originally. Timeless, which is the Ruth Doctor's cave, which is a different type of cave, I presume. And then Alkino, a beautiful custom. This is the one that comes with the console I've got right now. I absolutely adore this interior. Newbury, which is the 4th Doctor's secondary. Type 40, I guess this is the 1st Doctor's one. Copper, 11th Doctor's. Pristine, another custom, sort of quite classic. And then we're back to the beginning. I'm going to select the Alkino TARDIS interior. I just absolutely love this one. So all you have to do is click the name right here, and it'll say interior reconfiguration started, please leave the interior. So you can do so. You obviously got that red hum, and then you get this really nice cloister belt sound effect. This is a much better look at the 13th, 14th, and 15th Doctor's exterior, by the way. Really, really nice model. And then if you head back inside, we're now inside the new TARDIS. Once again, it's sort of given me all these blocks, but I'm assuming that will be patched out at some point. Come on, you cannot tell me that this isn't one of the most beautiful custom TARDIS interiors you've ever seen. I mean, look at the details in this place. It is absolutely incredible. You've got all the beautiful oranges and the colours. You've got some nice little, like, testing consoles here, crates, bookshelves. You've got some, like, amazing, I don't even know what these things are. You've got a tank, for goodness sake. Look at the details with the water going into the pots and everything. Some amazing use of all the new blocks, the skulk and everything, and you've even got an amazing under console section. I mean, this is just absolutely phenomenal. And I've just realized I've been saying Alkino. It's not, it's Alnico. I just can't speak. I think the thing that strikes me about all of the TARDIS console rooms in this mod, but particularly this one, is just how alive everything feels. Like, it feels like it's just waiting to burst into flight, and it truly feels like it's alive. I mean, you've got the incorporation of the skulk, which has its really nice animated texture. The candles help to make it feel alive. Everything's so bright and colourful. And then you've also just got, as well as this incredible texture for the console, the animations are just brilliant. I mean, look at the waving of the spanners even. You've got this little rotating bit of retextured amethyst. You've got the rotating time rotor. These little things rotate. I don't even know what half this stuff does, and it just looks phenomenal. Even the needles on these move a little bit, and the same with these ones. I mean, it's just mental. The attention to detail is immaculate. But yeah, I've been staring at this console long enough. It's time to actually use it. So I'm not really going to be able to go through all of the controls on this TARDIS. I'm just going to go through the main ones that you'd use on a regular basis. So this is your power right here. At the moment, the TARDIS is fully on. However, if you flick this, everything will power down. You get this super cool sort of darkness effect, and then as soon as you boot it back up, everything comes back online. You get that amazing sound effect, and then you're back and ready to go. So next up, we've got the refueler, and if you right click this, it will just make a noise. It won't actually do anything at the moment, and that's because it requires the handbrake to be engaged, and you can find the handbrake right here. So if you engage the handbrake, it'll say handbrake on, and then if we go back to the refueler, as you can see, refueling is now enabled, and you get these super cool particles coming out of the TARDIS. So fuel is a really important aspect of this mod, and pretty much everything runs on Artron. You may have seen it earlier on the Sonic. It's got its AU, which is its power, its Artron unit, and that is exactly the same stuff that the TARDIS runs on. So if we go onto the monitor, you can see this little bar at the bottom, and that is effectively your health. If we grab an actual monitor block, which is also craftable, you can see it actually has a display which shows you the exact fuel percentage. So once your refueler is actually turned on, you can gain Artron literally anywhere. Your TARDIS can just be parked, and you can just gain Artron passively. However, if you're inside a rift chunk, which we are right now, because that's where we actually got our TARDIS in the first place, then it will go a lot quicker. And it still feels quite slow, but bear in mind, you don't use a lot of fuel for a lot of the main processes. However, you do need a bit of fuel for pretty much everything. You need fuel to be able to fly, which we'll look at in just a second, as well as to change the interior and the exterior. However, there are a few other ways you can actually gain fuel. So one of these is the Artron Collector unit, as you can see right here. This is craftable with 6 copper ingots, 2 iron ingots, and a block of redstone. So basically, all you have to do with this thing is hold it in your hand, and then if we just head outside, effectively all we have to do with this thing is just hold it in our hand while we're inside a rift chunk, and it will collect Artron energy. And then once we've got a bit of energy, we just have to go over to the console and shift right click it to put all the energy in the TARDIS. There is a third and final method, and that is the Artron Collector, and it's crafted with a lightning rod, an iron ingot, a block of redstone, and 2 smooth slabs, and it literally works in exactly the same way as an Artron Collector unit, except the only difference is you place it down, and it just does it automatically instead of you actually having to hold it. And if you want to drain this thing, all you have to do is shift right click with an Artron Collector unit, and it will transfer all of the Artron onto this thing right here, which, as I just mentioned, you can then use to actually refill the TARDIS. To be honest, in my testing, it seemed far easier to just wait and let the TARDIS do it itself, but there are some other options there if you want them. So, once you've got yourself a little bit of fuel, we can now finally get going. So, in order to fly the TARDIS, there's a few different things you have to do. So, first of all, you need to turn off your refueling, because you won't be able to do anything if you're still in refueling mode. And then you are pretty much ready to go, but I'd recommend setting your destination before you get going. So, right here, you've just got your coordinate controls, X, Y, and Z, and you can right-click them to increase and shift right-click to decrease. This works for all of them. And then if you'd like to go up in a higher increment, then you just need to find the increment thingamajiggy. Oh, it's just called increment. And basically you just press this and it goes 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and then back to 1. And you get this amazing lever which goes down like this. It looks so cool. So for example, if we go to 100, as you can see, the coordinates are now increasing by the 100. And then once you're happy with your coordinates, you can change your dimension. Now, it may just be that my understanding of this mod is a little bit lacking, but when I tried to use this, it does seem to be a little bit glitched. So it says overworld right there, then it says surface type a few times, then it says the end, then it says surface type again, then it says the nether, then it says surface type bright, and then we're back to overworld. So you can change the dimension with this thing, it does just seem to be a little bit dodgy. But I'm going to go with the nether. And just to confirm, if you right click on the monitor, you can now see that our destination is set for some different coordinates and the nether. The last thing you can do is, of course, change the direction as well. And for that, you just need to navigate over to your direction, which is right here. And you can just cycle through all of the 4 cardinal directions. So now we're pretty much ready to go. All you need to do is disable the handbrake, because we had that on for our refueling protocol, and then just navigate over to the throttle and pull it down. And as you can see, we are in flight. You get this really cool advancement, Maiden Voyage. You get some amazing shaking effects, as you can see right here. You get a beautiful custom time rotor animation. And now you're basically in flight. So as you can see, our fuel will be going down. And this thing right here is showing our progress to get to our destination. So you do have to be a little bit careful that you actually have enough fuel to make it to your destination. Here we go. We're very close to being completely done with our journey. And as you can see, we now get a nice little noise letting us know we're done with our journey. And then I believe if we shift right click the throttle, uh-oh, what have I done? Aha, you have to left click to put the throttle back up. Okay, I didn't realize you could left click. That's good to know. So anyway, once you return the throttle to its original position, you get a really nice little sound for us rematerializing. And then fingers crossed, if we've been successful, we should be at our destination, some new coordinates in the nether. So hopefully, if we now leave our TARDIS, we are in some lava. Yeah, that's not a great start. However, we are at the coordinates we wanted to go to. So our flight has actually been successful. So there is actually a way to make sure you don't end up in lava, and that is using another one of the controls, which is the anti-gravity control. So if you turn these on, what it does is makes the TARDIS immune to falling. So I believe we wouldn't have fallen through this lava had we have actually had them enabled. But the downside to that is that it really drains your Artron. However, that flight that we just did was with the throttle just on the very first setting. And this throttle has a lot of different settings, as we saw when I got a bit confused and tried to put the throttle back up to normal. And if you put the throttle on max, you go a lot quicker. But the downside is there's a much higher chance of stuff going wrong. However, you can make your flight experience a little bit easier. So if you have your Sonic on scanning mode, you can actually put it in the Sonic port like this. And what it will do is when you're in flight, it will tell you all of the stuff you need to do. So let's do that now. We're going to go for max throttle by shift right clicking, and it's all going to happen very quickly. So be prepared. So what we're going to do is basically a little bit of an in-flight event. So we'll get loads of different pop-ups, and basically what we do will impact how well our travel goes effectively. So anyway, let's go ahead and pull the throttle down maximum. So we're now dematerializing. As soon as we've dematerialized, our flight path will start. Yeah, as you can see, it goes much quicker on max throttle. However, as you can see, vortex drift acceleration necessary. So we now get this amazing, super cool little pop-up right here of all the stuff we need to do. So you get amazing little exclamation marks. So we need to press this right here. We need to press that right there. And it basically tells you all the stuff you need to do in order to keep the TARDIS going. So I'm just right-clicking all of these. And if you don't do them in time, then it can go quite badly wrong. However, thankfully, our flight is now done, as you can see. So if we rematerialize by shift left clicking this time to get it all the way back up, we are officially done. We've traveled 40,000 blocks in the space of, well, not very much time at all. However, as I mentioned earlier, stuff can go wrong while you're in flight, and I'd actually like to demonstrate that because it's pretty cool. So as weird as it sounds to say, we're gonna crash the TARDIS. And there's a few different ways you can do this. One of them is a particular in-flight event that has to do with the power, and effectively if you fail this in-flight event, it will turn off the power and your TARDIS will crash. And the other, much easier way is to just pull the handbrake mid-flight. I don't really know why I'm giving you a tutorial how to crash, but anyway, all we really need to do is set a destination. It doesn't really matter what it is. I'm just going to go with something random like that. And then we're just going to go max throttle as an example. I've not been responding to the in-flight event, so the TARDIS is already suffering a little bit. But now I'm just going to pull the handbrake. And yeah, this doesn't look very good, does it? So we've got an advancement called Temporal Turbulence. Embrace the chaos of time by unintentionally crashing your TARDIS for the first time. So you get this awesome effect where the console's smoking, everything goes white, and then basically you leave the TARDIS. I think this phantom spawned in one of the events. And as you can see, the TARDIS has now got this really amazing smoking effect, and you get this really nice cloister bell sound. And we're basically now stuck in a random place somewhere along our journey, and our TARDIS is broken, and we need to repair it in order to keep using it. And to do that, we're going to use our Sonic. And I'd highly recommend having the 9th and 10th Doctor's Sonic, or the 14th Doctor's Sonic, as I've got right here, as the effect that you can have if you use these Sonics is really, really cool. And now all you need to do is right-click the TARDIS with this Sonic in your hand. And as you can see, you get an amazing effect where the Sonic actually goes inside the keyhole on the exterior. You get an admittedly pretty horrible noise, which I'll turn down in the edit. But yeah, this effect of the Sonic in the keyhole is so, so cool. It's something I've never seen done in any other Doctor Who mod. Anyway, you just wait for this to do its thing. And then, as you can see, you get the Sonic back in your inventory. But yeah, if we head back inside, yeah, the effect has gone away, as you can see, and our console is still smoking. However, by pulling back the throttle, we can fix this very easily. So you get this really, really cool sound effect. The smoke begins to sort of fade away, and as we progress through our flight, we will eventually reach our destination. Yeah, we have actually reached our destination. So the flight did completely work. You just basically need to do one normal flight, and it will make that effect go away. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to TARDIS flight, and I think that's where I'm going to leave this review. There are a lot more features that I haven't covered. We haven't looked at the respirator or the faceless respirator, any of the keys. I've just noticed there's a custom music disc which I'm going to put on for this outro. So yeah, as I was saying, there are a few things I haven't been able to cover, but for a first release, this mod is actually pretty massive, and all I really wanted to do with this review is cover the main features and give my opinions as well as provide a little bit of a tutorial. So funnily enough, since I started making this video, there's been a few changes in the team that have been making this mod. So initially it was by some people called MD Team, but they have since sort of split, and it's now primarily being worked on by Lecure and his friend Duzo, as well as the rest of his new team, which is really, really exciting. And they still plan to not only continue to develop this mod, but continue to release regular updates, smaller updates every week or two, and then major updates at least every month or every other month, which is really, really exciting. So potentially you could expect to see some more Adventures in Time content on this channel pretty soon. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you'd like to download this mod, there is of course a link to it in the description. Please make sure you download the other mods you need for this to run, Fabric API, OOLib, and I'd highly recommend Immersive Portals as well. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, then please leave a like, and if you'd like to see more content like this, then please subscribe. But I've been DT10, and I will see you in the next video.